Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, a podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and hopefully don't buy bad vacation homes. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. My one day off this week. I had like a full movie day, so it was nice. Just popcorn and snacks and everything.
That is nice. I
made the meeting.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Well, I was busy all day, but I did watch a couple movies, including this one. So we're going to get into it and start talking about it. But first, let's start this week like we do every week and get into the horror news. I've actually got quite a few, not a lot, but some are pretty interesting. So let's start with this. We were talking about Wednesday on this podcast. Have either of you seen it yet?
No, I haven't got a chance to watch it yet.
Nope, me neither.
Yeah, I have not either, but we're in the minority because Wednesday broke the streaming record for Netflix.
Wow.
In mere days. It debuted at the number one spot with a record-breaking 341.23 million hours viewed.
Holy cow.
With 50 million households who have seen the series.
I've heard so many people talking about it, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was the number one series in 83 countries, tied with Stranger Things. So it's Netflix's biggest show ever at this point.
Whoa.
So apparently people liked it, or they just were starved for Addams Family content.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've got something. Yeah. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? It's pretty big.
I'm definitely going to have to sit down and watch it this week. It's weird. I don't like watching movies during the day, but I work at night. So daytime is my only time.
I know.
Ah, it's a bummer, but
what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
Wild stuff. I wouldn't have expected that to do what it did, but that's amazing for that whole cast.
The genre lives, so that's it's always good to see anything in our little genre, our little neck of the woods to do massive numbers is always a plus. So
I'm
exciting.
Just curious, do they happen to compare it to the Munsters?
No, I'm assuming that it would compare negatively because this one actually has gotten good feedback and reviews thus far.
I was just curious since they're like in the same.
They are very similar. The Munsters have always gotten a bad rap when it comes to updating. I will say that. As much as I love the Munsters movies that Fred Gwynne and company did back in the 60s and 80s. And then as much as I like those TV movies, they don't compare to Barry Sonnenfeld's Addams Family movies from the 90s. Those are like another level. So, yeah. Feel like they've been behind. This is interesting news. There is a new post. Do you guys remember Teen Wolf? Not the great Michael J. Fox movie, but the MTV series. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I never watched it, but
I watched like a couple episodes.
So they have the Teen Wolf movie is coming out on Paramount Plus, and it has the original cast back, I guess. Some of them at least. So they are making a movie that is out January 26th and a spin-off series called Wolfpack, starring Kevin Nash. It's not really starring Kevin Nash, but it totally should.
It does star Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? She's in it.
Yes. Yeah. And Zach Galifianakis. I'm not Zach Galifianakis either. He's a one-man Wolfpack.
You are
hangover jokes for you. But yeah, Teen Wolf is a thing that's happening, and obviously, like we just discussed, none of us have watched it, so I don't know how excited either of you would be for it.
I'm excited for the fans
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people who really enjoy that show. So I'm excited for all those people out there. I bet that's good because I heard that's a good show. I'm not a big teen show person, you know.
Yeah, me neither. I will say this though, that I would be happy for the fans as well, because I do remember when Veronica Mars came out, and I went and saw that with Sarah because she was huge into Veronica Mars. So we went to the theater and saw that first movie together. So
Now
She's
the
on-
Veronica Mars, not to get too sidetracked, wasn't that like a fan-based campaign to make that a movie?
yeah. They
And that's
Indigo
amazing.
goated, I think, and then they made a new series, like another batch of episodes that Sarah did not enjoy because she did not like the direction it took. So this is some big news here. Mike Flanagan and Trevor Macy have signed a multi-year series deal with Amazon Studios. So that's great for them, but you know what that does mean, right? That we're not going to get any more house, haunting of anything from Netflix.
Yeah,
which is
that's
unfortunate.
a tragedy.
We still do have Mike Flanagan's Netflix series next year, The Fall of House of Usher. That Poe adaptation still on the way. And they also have just canceled the Midnight Club, Flanagan's, Are You Afraid of the Dark Lake series. They canceled that as well, probably due to this new deal, I would imagine. Probably as a casualty of that. But, I mean, I'm excited to see what he will do at Amazon.
Yeah, but I'm super sad because that the two series that he put out for the haunted houses, you know what I'm trying to say? Like those were amazing. I loved both of them.
The good news is both of those stories that he adapted are in public domain. Fall of the House of Usher is public domain. So he theoretically could do another one, just call it something differently and have the same kind of vibe, same thing. And who's to say that if he won't, work on something for that. But yep, big news there. Guys, this is huge news. Bruce Campbell has shared an image of the family from Evil Dead Rise. You guys want to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Here's the first shot we have. A split diopter shot. Right there's our family. You can see the split diopter. See the how light the feathering is there?
Yeah.
For the diopter. But this is the first image. I mean, it looks cool, right? That's a kind of Raimi-ish shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very dynamic. It's coming on April 21st of next year. It'll be out. It is the synopsis is as follows. A road-weary Beth pays an overdue visit to her older sister Ellie, who is raising 3 kids on her own in a cramped LA apartment. The sisters' reunion is cut short by the discovery of a mysterious book deep in the bowels of Ellie's building, giving rise to flesh-possessing demons and thrusting Beth into a primal fight for survival as she is faced with the most nightmarish version of motherhood imaginable.
Wow.
Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty cool. It is a neat concept to have the Evil Dead in an apartment complex. I'm surprised it took us, nearly 40 years to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sam Raimi tied to this project at all? Producer or anything like that?
Yeah, Sam, and Bruce are, Rob and Bruce are all producers on the movie. So yeah, it's produced by Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, and Bruce Campbell because they, own the rights, so they're always producers on those movies. And Sam Raimi handpicked Lee Cronin, who's the writer-director of the movie, for this feature. So, We'll see. Sam Raimi also handpicked Fede Alvarez for the Evil Dead remake, and that turned out to be pretty great as well. So, kind of know it's always cool, to see these new Evil Deads. Would I have liked to have seen a full-on Evil Dead 4 directed by Sam Raimi? Yeah, but we got Ash vs. Evil Dead, so that's 3 seasons worth of it. But I'm excited. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely excited.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for the horror news. So let's get into tonight's movie. Derek, you picked this one. We are doing Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yep.
So Derek, go ahead and tell us the first time you watched this movie and how you discovered it.
So I think it was on Netflix. I was just
It was for a
cruising
while.
through Netflix one day, and like when it first came out, and I'm like, oh, this looks like a movie that's right up my alley. And so I watched it, and I loved it so much, I bought a copy. And this movie is it's a different kind of movie. It's great. I don't want to give too
How
much
about you,
away. We'll
Lydia?
get into it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I found it. I think we were just looking on Netflix and it popped up and we were like, what is this about?
Yeah, I think I knew that it was coming out. Like I heard about it on the the dirt sheets, as they say. I read about it, and so I kind of followed a little bit of the making of it, not like hardcore or anything, but I like the actors, like Alan Tudyk. So I was like, oh, this will be fun. And then I forgot about it, and then it just popped up on Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch that. So I've seen it about 3 or 4 times probably. So I've watched it several times, and it's a good one. It's one that we'll get into it, but yeah, that's kind of my story with it. Depends on when I'm in a certain kind of mood. It's a good one to put on, for sure. So let's get into it. The start of this movie. It starts with the end, which I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't love the opening of this movie because if you're kind of paying attention, it kind of gives away the twist that happens later.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't love it. I know that here's my theory. My theory is that it originally opened with just the kids on the road. I don't know this for a fact, but my theory is that it opened with the kids on the road and we just played it linearly. But they're like, we need to open it with like kind of a bang. So they threw out what would originally be the teaser ending and put it at the beginning of the movie and then cut back. What do you guys think?
Could very well have been.
I don't remember opening with the ending.
So it opens
I thought it opened with like a flashback or something, like from the past.
No, it opens with the reporter going into the mill after everything happened.
That's right. I forgot.
And we get the shaky cam scare.
Yeah.
And which would be fun, actually would be okay, but we literally see his face. Like we freeze frame on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, well, that kind of gave it away. So, but it starts
we don't
it off
know why.
Okay. Yeah,
we don't know why this is happening.
It starts it off okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Opening. But our introduction to the characters is another story. What do you think of that opening, Derek?
I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from, and that could have definitely been the issue. And you're right, you have to pay attention because really what's going to give it away is his collar and like his shirt, right? It's it is a dead giveaway if you're
itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got the half like burnt face going for him, and he's got kind of a forgettable face, in my opinion. But yeah,
shots fired at that actor.
I think it's comical though, like the news reporter or whatever, how they're like trespassing and they're like cussing and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
She's like, how would you like a Peabody Award? I'm like, you're not getting a Peabody Award for this lady.
No, definitely not.
So real quick, I have got this to say about this movie. This movie is better than it has the right to be, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And actually, I think it's the actors. Like, I don't know that you could have gotten, especially, and I do not know his actual name, but Tucker.
Yeah, it's Alan Tudyk. Yeah.
Yeah, I love everything that he's in. And so he just, man, the two of them are a really good pairing as far as actors. They did a phenomenal job in this movie.
Yeah, we'll get into him here in a minute. The actual start of this movie proper, we're introduced to our teen characters. And I really like this whole section because it plays it like the beginning of a straight slasher movie for the most part, except for some corny jokes here and there. But like, it's the same setup. We're introduced to our teens, drive in, we get to know a little bit of their personalities. We see the creepy hillbillies that drive by, and then we're in the shop, and we get that scene in the shop where they're kind of getting things ready, and we see Tucker up at the counter, and he's just in the stuff he's getting 2x4s, axes, hacksaws, like are very ominous things. And then we set it up like it's the setup of an actual slasher, and then we switch perspectives as soon as he talks to Dale. We switch perspectives, and we're immediately in Tucker and Dale's perspective, and realize that they're just a couple of lovable goofs that are just trying to go on their vacation home. So it's a great bait and switch.
Yeah. I love it so much. I like, now that this is like probably like second or third time watching this, and I cannot stop laughing the entire scene, like, of this opening. Like, I'm cracking up the entire time. Just the thought of it is so funny.
My favorite is when she pulls out the thing. We should get a creepy bit at this, but she pulls it out and he's staring at her dumbly.
Yeah.
She pulls it, but then he goes, oh, like that.
Creep, just total creep face.
So funny. And then so we switch perspectives into them. He's eating those nasty ass pickled eggs.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Then I love their conversation. He's like, oh, look how beautiful, and he's like, why don't you just go? She's just a human. Why don't you just go talk to her, And that whole conversation, he's like, you just need to, you're a good looking guy. Stand up for yourself. And he decides, like, just whatever you do, just smile and make, laugh, make things light. So he walks over with a fucking scythe, first of all.
Yeah.
Stands over there. He's like, you guys going camping?
You guys going camping?
Well, he says, laugh often and something else, and he goes, "You guys go camping?" It's great. It's great.
The nervous laugh is so funny. It's too much.
Chad immediately gets in between. He's like, "Whoa, we just need to go. Get in the car." And everybody's just kind of like, "Oh, what a bunch of creeps." And then he goes over to Tucker and he's like,
wait. He goes, "You're a good-looking man, more or less."
More or less, yeah.
You've got a damn good heart. And then he's like, "Well, that's two things that you got going for you right there."
Yeah, that's his list. There's two things you got going for you.
I like when he goes back and he's like, he said something about like, women hate me. He says, they hate my face.
Yeah, they hate my face. I'm not a lazy man like you, Tucker.
These lines, my gosh.
This next bit.
I know, I pulled up a whole list of them because they're so great.
This next bit cracks me up. So they're driving to the cabin. We find out that, they have this vacation home that Tucker put all of his life savings into. He's got his own vacation home so they can go and fish and drink and hang out, just have their own pad to hang out because they're best buds. So they're drinking and driving, of course, because they're hillbillies. And they get pulled over by a cop. Tucker drops his beer into his lap. So Dale goes to clean it up and his shirt gets stuck. So it looks like he's giving him roadhead. And then he rips up and it flips off his whole shirt.
Well, and then he's like, something. I just thought he needed a little bit of man time.
Yeah, he's having some trouble with the ladies, so I thought he could use some man time.
Yeah.
And the cop's just like, all right. The reason I pulled you over is you got a tail light out. And he's like, you don't go in those woods, you'll only find death there. And he's like, what's wrong with that guy? He's jealous of he's jealous of our vacation. You know what it is? He's jealous he doesn't have a vacation house of his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Gotta be what it is. So we don't know any of the backstory yet. So, it'll make sense a little bit later. But when they arrive at we see the cabin, and my favorite line when they first walk in, it's like all gross, and he's like, well, it's a little dusty. And Dale goes, it's a mansion.
Yeah.
Well, as they're driving in, he's like, look, there's a car over there and a car over there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, those are like junked out rust buckets, man.
Yeah. So great. And then,
I love it.
his
I would be
optimism.
I would be excited to have that place.
well, yeah, you could fix it up. I mean, that's what they're planning to do. So yeah, you could have a good time. And then the fact that he leans on that pole,
Yeah.
and it almost kills him. So we get that set up with the thing coming down. But there's a line in there that I love. Like we walk in and he goes, we see bones and shit hanging everywhere. And he's like,
Yeah.
guy before this must have been some kind of paleontologist.
Yes. That got me too.
Walk up to the newspaper and he's like, oh, must have been a news buff and saw all these massacre things. And he goes, oh, chili dogs, 1 for 3, no expiration date.
Score.
They just miss all of the signs of how creepy this place was.
Yeah.
So we get the backstory with our teens. And good old, what's his face? Chad, yeah. He goes and tells us like the whole history. And we get this flashback scene of these 2 hillbillies like killing this entire like group of people that were hanging out in like the old, like, what was it, the 70s? So they're like all out there and they're getting, he has a blade and he throws it at. So we get some good gore here, actually, some good kills in this flashback scene.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. And we find out that there was only one survivor. And so immediately following this, there's like this kind of like, oh. And then the other dude walks up and he's like, you guys want to go skinny dipping? Yeah! And they just all run off. So dumb. So at this point, basically, we're introduced to our teen characters because we have Allison. Allie is basically our final girl and our, the love interest. And she's like a psychology student. And she's kind of like more open-minded than everybody else. And we see that Chad like has a thing for her, which we'll find out here in a minute. Chad has a thing for her, and he like keeps trying to like, well, basically seduce her with his, horribly
strong.
creepy.
I don't know if I'd call it seduction.
Yeah, with his horribly, sexual
moves.
assault. Yeah.
Tries to trap her in a relationship or something.
Yeah, he's a creepo because he's like, we're different. We're better than everyone else.
He starts out by saying, you can drop the act like you're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then he's like, we are better than everyone else. So dumb.
Yeah. So we find out that already we know he's creepy. And then so she goes off on her own and she goes to go skinny dipping. She goes to go take a dip herself. And meanwhile, Tucker and Dale are fishing. And some of their banter here, I love it. There's like one beer left, and he's like, oh no, Tucker, you can have that. And he's like, well, that's why you'll never get anywhere. So he goes to take it. He's like, don't even.
Yeah.
He goes to do it again. He's like, but you said, I also said don't even. That's the last thing I said.
Yeah.
That's where you really see like that he is just like a genuinely sweet person. like so kind-hearted
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he's like, oh, that's the last beer. You can have that's your beer. You can have that. And I'm like, oh, like you just like love him for being so
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. And
Well, I
then
love the next part when. So first off, why on God's green earth would you climb up on a giant rock to, to then climb down? Either way, I'm over that part. But like they see her up on this big rock, and Tucker's like, I have no problems. I'm gonna watch this. And Dale's like covering his eyes. He's like, no, don't do it.
yeah, the best is right before that when they see that he's like, oh look, college kids. And he's like, well, come on, they don't want to see us. And Tucker goes, well, I want to see them. So she falls off of the rock and hits her head. So Dale jumps in and saves her. They pull her aboard, and he's trying to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And the friends see him, and they freak out because they're like, "Hey, got your friend!" Trying to tell them that they got their friend, and they're like, "But we got to get her back to the house." So the miscommunication. This whole movie's just about miscommunication, and it starts here. Got your friend, and then they ride off. So it's like the setup to a horror movie. So, the kids think that she's been stealing. And I love when he's like, tell him what you saw. Well, it's kind of dark, but I'm pretty sure I saw him eating her face.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Because that is what they probably saw. Like
nobody thought to think logically, like, maybe she fell into the water, or let's call, they wanted to call the police. The one guy, Chad's all about, we can do it ourselves. Because he's a psychopath and he wants to kill people.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Especially hillbillies. He hates hillbillies. Yeah.
Yeah.
He hates hillbillies, so he wants to crush them.
That bites him in the arse later.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Tucker and Dale take her back to her house, or to the vacation home. And when she wakes up, she just sees a one-eyed dog staring at her. Jenger.
Yeah.
Jengers. He's just staring at her.
The cutest dog ever.
This puggy little bulldog with a one eye.
He's so wrinkly.
He's a good boy.
Oh, he's such a cute dog. I love it.
She's like, immediately freaked out. He comes in and he's like, real creepy still. Oh, and she's like, screams. And he's like, oh, right. You don't like pancakes. Oh, not pancakes. Oh, all right. I'll be back. And she's like, pancakes? Then he comes back. And he's like, I hope you don't hate eggs and bacon. So this scene's pretty cute, right? Like when he starts to explain to her what happened, and she's completely understanding, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You seem like a nice guy. And then they start to play their board game. And, he's like, I've got this dumb brain where I just remember everything I heard. You're muted, by the way, Derek.
Motherfucker. He goes, I'm dumb as a stump, but I can remember anything I've read or something along those lines.
Yeah, anything he's ever heard. Everything he's ever heard, he remembers. He's like, I got this dumb brain. I don't know. So he's getting, one of them was like, who's the fifth president? And he names it. And she's like, how do you do that? He's like, I don't know. I just have this brain. So good old Tucker is outside. I love it when he sees him and he's like, damn Romeo playing board games. So he goes to saw into this tree. And meanwhile, the friends stumble upon the cabin. They find it. And they're coming up with a plan to, one of them's going to go knock on the door. It's like, in their defense, they do originally try to knock on the door. Let's go knock on the door. Maybe they have her for a reason, blah, blah, blah. Well, at the same time, Tucker saws into a beehive.
Yeah.
So he starts running with a chainsaw looking like Leatherface.
Swinging around.
So the kid runs out and he's like, ah! He runs too. And they're running and the kid impales himself onto a branch that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
But the best is there's a slow motion shot where he looks over and
Yeah.
Tucker sees him and he's kind of like,
he's passing him.
yeah, he's confused.
Yeah, and the kid is almost getting confused. He's
Yeah,
like,
and he's
why are
looking
you
at him.
passing me?
And
Like,
then
there's-
that's when he runs into the thing because he wasn't
yeah,
looking.
yeah. Gosh.
So
that scene probably made me laugh the hardest. Was just him running from the bees.
it's really funny. There's a bit that makes me laugh
Oh
harder,
my
and
gosh.
I'll tell you about it. Yeah,
I know what you're gonna say. Is it the wood chipper?
yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this bit's great, right? Our first death, kid accidentally impales himself. Tucker is none the wiser. He doesn't see the kid kill himself.
Yeah,
so
he
doesn't
didn't
know.
even see it. Yeah.
So he comes back in, and he's got this terrible swollen face from all of the bee stinging.
Like
And
big
he's
boils all over him.
And he's just pouring beer on it. Just pouring beer on it. And he's like, what happened to you? I sawed into a bee's nest. Oh, why'd you do that for? I didn't do it on purpose, you moron.
Yeah. I love this because he gets like aggravated with him. He's like, well, if you would have been there to help me, this wouldn't have happened. But you were in here flirting, playing games, whatever.
Playing board games.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I love how this is resolved because it's like you just don't really see this in movies very often where Dale just like apologizes and is like, how about I come help you pull those stingers out of your face and then I'll help you with whatever you need me to help with. And he's like, I would like that.
Yeah, I would like that very much.
It's so sweet. Like these guys are just like sweethearts.
So then he's like, I saw one of your friends out there. They must have been allergic to bees too.
He was running like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
Is what he
She's
said,
like,
yeah.
well, maybe he's like, no, you go rest. We'll go out there. You need to stay in the house and rest. We'll go out and see what's going on. Tucker can talk to anybody. He's a real charmer, and he's like got fucking boils all over his face, and he's like, he does that wink.
I will spit my drink out. Oh my gosh. He's really not good at talking to people either.
He's not. He would be okay if he wasn't all boiled up. He'd be fine.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So the friends decide that they're going to attack them because they find the dead kid. So they're like, we've got to go get him. So here's, everybody gets armed with weapons and they go to attack Tucker and Dale. So the best is Tucker goes out. He's got all swollen face and he's like, college kids.
College kids! I don't see him.
Yeah.
College kid. And they're like, hide from him, thinking he's a fucking psychopath.
Dale's like, yell louder.
Yeah. So he uses the thing to write him a note, an axe, and it says, got your friend.
I mean, to be fair, because he's carving this in the side of a tree, how detailed would you be? Get to the point. We got your friend.
Mhm.
Although, from their perspective, that they didn't take it well.
Yeah, it looks like a message.
So silly. It's so
like a
silly.
So yeah,
Got your friend.
got your friend. So they're like, okay, let's let's attack him. So we have Dale and Allison digging a hole for a shit house or out shit. She's like, outhouse hole? Outhouse hole.
Yeah.
Find out that she used to live on a farm, so she knows how to do this stuff. So they're digging this hole. And Tucker's over there, grinding wood in the wood chipper. He's just chipping this wood away. So the kids decide to attack. The one that attacks Tucker that attacks Dale and Allison.
They see her digging.
Pushes him out of the way. Because they see her digging.
And they're like,
yeah.
She's
and
digging her own grave.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. They're making her dig her own grave.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So they attack and she sees him and she's like, Dale, watch out. And he swings the axe or the shovel.
Yeah,
and knocks
he turns. He literally just turns with the shovel in his hand.
Knocks her out. And then he moves and the kid impales himself on the stick. And he's like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dale is, or Tucker is over there with the wood chipper. and he moves like this. The kid dives at him, and he just dives headfirst into this wood chipper, spewing blood everywhere. And he's like, "Oh my god!" He's trying to grab the kid's legs as it's spewing blood all over him.
Oh,
What do you guys
so
think of these
gross.
two deaths?
It's brilliant. The wood chipper is so funny. It's so brilliant. It's so nasty. It's like, this is horrifying.
Yeah, for sure. Like with the wood chipper, there's a couple of really good lines that come away from this, right? So
My favorite line in the whole movie is that's following when he says, "They're killing themselves."
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say because it's a little bit farther down. You know, you're kind of heavy for half a dead guy.
Oh, that's a good line too when we
Yeah.
get there. But
Yeah.
my favorite is when their reaction when they meet, when they get back together, they both regroup. He's like, "This craziest things. This kid just went and pounded himself on a thing." He's like, "Yeah, I just had a guy fling himself into the wood chipper. They're killing themselves."
He's like, you know what this is? This is a suicide pact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, "We got to call the police." "Oh, yeah. Tell them that they're killing themselves all over my lawn."
Yeah. And then they think that they're trying to kill Allie is like next or something.
Allie's next because she escaped. That's why they're upset.
Yeah.
So then it's like all sorts of, now both camps are against each other because they think the other one's killing the other one. So our one guy shows up that went and got the cop, and he shows up with the police officer.
Wait, because we missed a couple of really good gaffes here. So like they're trying to dig that guy out of the wood chipper, and he was like, "Man, I hope I don't get charged for this," or something along those lines.
Yeah.
As they're trying to dig him out of the freaking blades.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's after the policeman's on the way. So they're on the way with the cop at this point.
Yeah.
And they decide to clean up the property. So that way, I don't know what their plan is, I guess. They don't have one. They're kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
So they're pulling him out. They're like, he's heavy for half a guy. And then, they better not charge me for this because of the fucking wood chipper.
The damage deposit.
So they each grab a leg and they're pulling it when the cop car pulls up. And they're just, the police officer pulls up and they're each dragging half of a guy, the torso down of a guy.
How horrifying would that be?
And he's like, "Hello, officer."
Yeah. He talks to him while he's still holding the foot the whole time.
We've had a doozy of a day.
We had a doozy of a day. It's like they just started killing themselves. You must think I'm an idiot for believing that story.
Yeah.
And then,
or open-minded.
Yeah. You think I'm an idiot or open-minded? And he's like, "Well, why don't we just tell him about Allison? Maybe she can clear it up for him." "You've got an unconscious girl in there?"
Yeah.
"Oh, stop it."
In my bedroom, yeah.
In my bedroom.
No.
Dude, the acting in this scene is just, it's amazing. We'll have to drop a clip in here of like his response whenever he says, "Oh, you know, she could clear this up. You know, she's unconscious in my bedroom." And he's just like,
Yeah.
They might be trying to kill the girl that we have inside.
What girl?
You know what? She can maybe explain the whole thing if I hadn't have knocked her unconscious with a shovel on accident.
On accident.
Yeah, please just stop. So the police officer goes in and checks her out and says, "Well, she's not brain dead." He's like, "Well, that's good." That's good to know. And he's starting to kind of believe some stuff. He's like, "Well, I told you guys not to come here. This place is bad news." And he leans against that damn thing, that damn pole. And as soon as he leans on that column, the thing falls down, impales him in his forehead and face. And he's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's just going to walk it off."
He was walking right outside. He looks like he's going to walk it off. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to walk it off. He's all right. He's got
Blood
nails
dripping everywhere
through his head.
So they think, of course, that they killed him. The kids in the car. So they grab the officer's gun. The one guy points it at him, and he's like, he tries to shoot him. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna want to turn off the safety." And he just looks at him. And then he flips. He's like, no, don't do that. And he shoots himself in the face.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
they run inside as Chad's shooting him, and he says, you might want to turn off the safety. So,
Oh my gosh.
these D-bag kids take hostage Jengers and have a gun pointing at him.
He gets so upset.
So,
Dale gets
yeah,
so upset about
This
it.
scene's so funny when so he gets the nail gun. Tucker does, gives it to him. Says, cover me. He's going to go out and get Jengers. He's like, I'm going to kill your dog. You better not. I'm going to get real mad. I
Yeah.
swear I'll be real mad if you kill my dog. He's like crying. Because he's like just
Oh, man.
so sweet. You know, he just
Yeah. It's like, you
firing
better not.
these nails at him. So,
Well, and like right before he goes out, Tucker's like, because he almost shoots him in the face with a nail gun.
oh yeah.
He's like, create a distraction. And Dale, please don't
Don't
shoot
shoot.
me.
Don't shoot me.
Or the dog. I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
you don't shoot towards the dog.
So he, Tucker sneaks out, lets Jengers go, but then he's seen by him. So he runs and hides, but gets found. And the next time we see him, he's hanging upside down. He wakes up from being unconscious, and old boy's like saying, he's doing his spiel because he's a psychopath. He has the knife or the axe, and he's talking and doing his little bad guy routine, talking about the hillbillies, how they must die. And then he says a pretty funny line here. I'm trying to remember what it is. Because he says, it's payback time. He's like, payback for what? Like, I just don't understand. The line is, he says, listen, won't we all just go back to my place? I have about 10 to 12 beers. You guys can have them all.
They're all nice.
They're all yours. And so they cut off his fingers, 2 of his fingers. And meanwhile, Allie wakes up and Dale has to explain to her what's going on.
He's terrified. He's like, your friends have lost their minds.
Yeah.
They're trying to kill each other. They're trying
And
to kill
us.
us and my dog. They're trying to kill you. And she's like, what? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? This
She-
can't be
you know,
right.
There has to be an explanation. There's got to
Yeah.
be some kind of miscommunication somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like they're not bad people, except for maybe Chad, obviously. But it's like that doesn't make any sense. Let me go out. I will talk to them and smooth everything over. And he's like, well, I got to go get I've got to go get Dale, or I've got to go get Tucker. He's out there. That's when they get a knock on the door, and it's 2 fingers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dale's or Tucker's
This is a
fingers
good
go.
one too.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, oh
this
my
line.
god, they took his bowling fingers.
Yeah, they cut off his bowling fingers. So Tucker goes out to go save him.
Movie.
He goes out to go save him, and the plan is for the kids at this point to sneak into the house and go save Allie while he's out going and getting Tucker. So when Dale finds Tucker hanging upside down, it's pretty funny because they have their little conversation. He's like, "It's a trap," and he's like, "What?" And he steps on it, and it like barely misses his junk. He's like, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear.
Yeah. How in the world did they set up that trap anyways?
That is one of those movie things. It's just a movie. It's a movie
Yeah.
logic. But what's really funny is when he like goes to cut him down, he's like, wait, he just cuts him and he like
Hits the
just
ground.
smacks into the oh sorry about that. You're muted, Derek.
Gosh, dang it, man. So is this the line where he goes, "Oh, this vacation sucks"?
Yeah, this vacation sucks after he smashes into the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like just laying there. He's got his fucking finger cut off. Face is covered with bee stings. He just got the wind knocked out of him from being hung upside down. Blood rushing to his head. Not having a good time.
No.
So the kids sneak into Tucker and Dale's cabin. And Allie's there, and they're like whispering, you know. It's the one girl and Chad. The blonde girl and Chad. And he's like, they're whispering. She's like, why are you whispering? There's nobody here. And he's like, Tucker, and, you know, so she's trying to explain to him, Tucker and Dale are not bad. You know, they've been nothing but nice to me this whole time. And that woman's like, oh, I know what this is. Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's like, yeah. And he's like, you're falling in love with these hillbillies. You love hillbillies. Ugh. And so he grabs her, and he's like, you know, about to hurt her when Tucker and Dale bust in, and he's like, get away from the girl. And he has he has his weapon. So she's like, hey, how about this? Let's sit down and let's have a powwow here, because she's going to use her, you know, little her little thing.
Yeah.
Psychology. Yeah. So then he said, you know, so he's like, let's have some tea. And he's like, tea will be nice. And Chad says, well, it can't be this sort of tea. What is it?
Chamomile.
Chamomile. Yeah, it can't be chamomile tea because it fucks with his asthma. So she's like, okay, no, it's Earl Grey. He's like, Dale goes, I love Earl Grey.
Oh, Grey's great. Yeah.
And then meanwhile, fucking Tucker's over in the corner drinking, pouring beer on his hands.
Oh my gosh, the little banter that they have back and forth.
Yeah,
him and the what's he say? He calls him like a perm-headed something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, F you, or F off, hillbilly. Eat shit, body perm.
Body perm, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, this is where we get the backstory. So we find out that according to Chad's mother and father were there, and his dad was murdered by these hillbillies, and he was, you know, he survived, or she survived. She escaped and ran off. She was pregnant with Chad at the time. This is what he was told. And he's like, then my mom got put in an institute, so I never got to see her. And, you know, my grandma's told me that story. And she's like, thank you for sharing. She goes to Dale. He kind of tells her about, like, his bad day. And then he's like, first of all, I want to say, I'm sorry about your parents. That's awful. But that wasn't us. I was like 7.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's like, well, it wasn't you, but it's your kind. So we get this kind of back and forth where she's like trying to, and things are actually working. They're actually settling down and seeing each other's perspectives for a minute. And then the other two people come in and they look in. And before this, when the first started, he was going to burn the place down. He started throwing gasoline everywhere. That's important.
Yeah.
So they see him and they look in the window like, are they drinking tea? Yeah. No, wait. They must be captured. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, they have to be captured. So they bust in like morons. He runs in with I'm sorry, it wasn't the blonde woman. It was the brunette that was in there with him.
Yeah.
Because he runs in with the freaking like
weed eater,
like the metal ones.
Yeah.
And weed eats her face off.
Yeah,
she's
because
like,
he's aiming for Tucker.
And he just
He
moves.
moves out of the way.
Yeah.
And nails her right in the face.
So then he's like, oh my God. And then he gets caught on fire. His pants get caught on fire because he flips the table. His pants get caught on fire, and he's just like, oh, hey, you're fine. You know, just put it out. It's just your leg. It's just your pant leg. Tucker and Daryl are trying to calm him down. So the woman throws moonshine onto it, and he's like, no, not that. Engulfs him in flames, so he's running around, catching the whole place on fire. While that's going on, the other woman decides to sit down and smoke a cigarette. And
She's having a bad day.
They look
She
over
is.
and it sees you see like a whole corner just full of gas cans.
And he's like, I know I should have moved
I
that.
know I should have moved
knew I
that.
should have moved that.
I think at one
So-
point they're trying to tell him to stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll. As he's engulfed in flames at this point.
Yeah.
So they run out, the cabin explodes, it's on fire. And they're like, they're having like a little conversation. Dale and Allie. And Tucker's just laying there, and they see the rubble move, and Chad comes out with half of his face burn off. And he's like, guys, I think we should go. And they see Chad, and they're like, well, maybe we should help him. And he screams, ah! Like, nope, we should go. Let's get to the truck. And then Dale, like an idiot, wrecks the truck.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the crazy cabin scene?
I think it's great. I think it's so funny that they like have like a little therapy session and get their views out. Even though it's like I feel like they should have been like, this person was running away from the bees and this person was, explained it all fully, but it's so hilarious. But then like everything just goes crazy. Like, I mean, it's
It escalates,
it's where it has to go.
Yeah. For the story, to continue, of course. So Dale wakes up. Allie's gone because he runs into a tree. Dale wakes up. Allie's gone, and Tucker is laying on the ground. He's got a wound in his stomach. His fingers are cut off. He's got all the stuff. And they have actually a really nice scene here where they just talk, they have like a little nice heart-to-heart scene here where he tells him, you can do anything you want. You're super smart. And he's like, remember when we were kids and we used to try to steal we tried to catch the frogs and see who could catch the most frogs. And I always told you that I let you catch the most. I never let you catch the most. You just caught the most. He's like, yeah, I used to let me lick him too. And that was really funny. I always felt funny afterwards.
Felt funny, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah. So he's like, you can do anything you want. You want it, you need to go get it. So go get her. Janger can help you find her. And right before he leaves, he's like, best friends forever. Best friends forever. And they like go to hold hands and he squeezes he's like, oh.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry.
So he and Jangers track them down to this woodmill, this old woodmill. And Jangers, he makes Jangers stay there so nothing will happen to him. And then he's like, they want a crazy hillbilly, they're gonna get one. So he has like an Evil Dead moment where he goes and like, gears up, puts on the welding mask and all this crazy shit. Meanwhile, Allie has been tied like 100% serial, like this 1930s serial style, been tied to a moving track with a saw on it. So she's tied,
Like
basically tied.
saw.
Yep, tied to a railroad track kind of thing. And he tries to get her to like, join him, and she kisses her and it's gross because of his face. And then he leaves and Dale busts in and it scares the shit out of her. And he's like, oh, just me. Why are you wearing that? I thought it would be intimidating. It is. So he starts the saw. Chad does. Drops down. They have their own little fight scene. And it's really, this part's so silly. It's funny. He takes the axe and he like throws it and cuts her ropes before she hits the saw. And she drops down. So funny. And then they get like a chainsaw versus a pole fight. And he ends up like, knocking him down and throwing the chainsaw at him because he doesn't want to kill him. He's still Dale.
Yeah.
They run upstairs and they hide in the top office area and they block it off to say, keep him down there. and they are going through all of the stuff, and he's like, we need to find a weapon of some sort. She starts reading articles and finds out that he is actually the offspring of the crazy hillbilly, because they have a picture of him and it looks just like him. Yeah. The picture of him and it looks just like him. And so it's like, oh, it says here, the article says she was raped. So his real dad, he's half hillbilly. Meanwhile, Dale finds the tea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finds the tea. So Chad busts upstairs and is going to kill them with the chainsaw. And she's like, look, he's like, look, you're hillbilly too. And she says, you're half hillbilly. And it devastates his soul.
That's the funniest line in this whole movie, I think, is you're half hillbilly. I was like, what?
Half hillbilly, man.
Which I feel personally. I feel like I'm like half hillbilly, or at least like a fourth hillbilly or something, you know?
Yeah. Derek, you have some hillbilly in your family, don't you? You're muted, by the way.
I know. Yeah, it runs strong in my family.
So
We're from Kentucky.
That's where part of my family's from too. Yep. Half hillbilly podcast.
Yeah, half hillbilly. 3/4 or 2/3 hillbilly podcast. Well, actually, it would be half because you each are a half. So Dale throws the tea in his face, and it like fucks him up because he explains why. It's like, that's the ingredient in the tea that makes, messes with people with asthma. And he's like, see, I told you my brain's weird. And then he just falls out of the window. And he's all done. What do you guys think of this finale?
Yeah, that's so funny. It's great. It's hilarious. Every time I see like chamomile tea,
Mm-hmm.
I think of this movie. Like, I think of that, him like throwing at him. He's like, oh, he'll be fine as long as he gets his inhaler.
Yeah, he'll be fine as long as he gets his inhaler.
And
So
then
the
he just
fact that
falls
he's
out the
going
window.
to like still give him his inhaler so he's okay, so he
Yeah.
can just calm him down.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to kill him.
And then he just falls. He's like, or not, maybe
yeah, he
not.
just closed the door.
Yeah. So then we get to the ending where, we see Tucker is recuperating in a hospital, and he's, all hopped up on, pain meds. And Dale comes in to visit him and sneaks him in a PBR with a ribbon on it even. Like, that's a PBR, buddy. He's like, yeah, look, they found my fingers. And one of them's like totally one of the girl's fingers.
Yeah.
It's got a red nail on it. It's like manicured.
That finger looks, dude, I don't remember that finger looking like that. He's like, nope, looks great to me, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he asked him if he ended up asking out Allison, and he was like, no. And he's like, I told you got to do it. And he's like, well, she mentioned that, before I could, she mentioned that she likes bowling, so I'm going to meet her there now. He's like, oh, you son of a bitch, go get her. So then we get the bowling coda where they're bowling, and she says that basically he finds out that she likes him because she kisses him. And before that happens, he tells this other hillbilly, hey, just go over there and talk to her. They're people, blah, blah. So then he creates this other hillbilly, creates chaos with these people. One of them getting knocked over. He's trying to drag her up, and she's like, what's going on? He's like, I don't care. And start making out.
It's like, should we go help him?
Yeah.
Nah. It's like the moral is that hillbillies can't talk to normal people.
Yeah, it causes chaos
without someone getting hurt.
Yeah, it's a class thing.
It's so messed up.
What do you guys think of this ending?
I love it. It's so funny.
I am glad that he gets the girl in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he deserved it.
Yeah, they're perfect for each other. It seems like.
Yeah, that bit's nice. I also like that we get to find out that we know that Tucker's okay and everything.
Yeah.
And you know, our heroes are in a good place. They also like believe their story that you know that basically they're like, what started as a suicide pact is now looking like the work of a deranged killer. And so
Yeah.
it's like Tucker and Dale are cleared of everything because they actually do never kill anybody at all in the movie.
Mm-mm.
Like all the
No.
deaths are the kids' fault, or well, that's it. They kill each other. The kids kill each
Yeah,
other.
accidental.
Yeah.
Or they kill each other. Yeah.
The one kid that shoots himself in the face cracks me up. That's really funny. Because the way he's just like swinging it around, he's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. He's trying to turn the safety off and just like
Yeah.
like pointing at his own face.
Yeah, moron. And that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Derek, let's start with you. What do you think of this movie?
So I do think that this, I mean, for the concept, like it's a really great concept for a movie. And I don't think that they could have chosen better actors for the two main leads. If there was a weak part, I actually think that Allison as an actress was not that strong. But you know, she was there because she's beautiful and you know to kind of like move the story along and in that direction. But this movie, it takes you by surprise how good it is, and especially for it not getting a big push in theaters because I don't recall this, you know, seeing an advertisement or you know seeing a trailer for this in any like mainstream way. So I feel like that was a missed opportunity, and I'm glad that I stumbled upon this movie.
What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I never saw an advertisement or anything for this movie and stumbled upon it on Netflix, and I'm so glad that I stumbled upon it. And I highly recommend, like, if you have not seen this movie or heard of it, you have to go watch it. It's so worth it.
Yeah. What did you give it, Derek?
I'm gonna get because this movie is so fun. I'm gonna give this movie an 8.
What about you, Lydia?
I think I'm gonna give it a 10.
All right.
I think this is probably my favorite horror comedy. It makes me laugh so much. I'm not a huge comedy person, honestly, like, and I feel like it's so rare for me to find a horror comedy that that I laugh this hard at. Like, I don't know. It's such a gem. It's so funny. It just gets me. I don't know. It gets my humor. So it's a 10 for me. You have to go watch it.
I like this movie a lot too. I think it's really funny. It's not my favorite horror comedy. We will have to do that one soon. It's a sequel to a movie we've already done. But it's up there. It's up there for me in the horror comedy genre. It's one of the funniest, I think. Also, I like the performances a lot. I think the concept is good. I think the directing's solid. It has actually really good practical effects and some good kills. So you get your horror in there too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as opposed to like another movie, you know, that tries to be both scary and funny, this movie is a straight up comedy with horror elements.
Yeah.
And so I like it a lot. I also will give it an 8. I think it's an 8 out of 10 for me as well because I really have a good time watching this. I just looked up to see what the status is on a sequel. It's been talked about for years. Like, it seems like all the parties want it to happen, you know, but they just have not cracked the story. Basically, it seems like the last we've heard of, at least according to Wikipedia, the last I was heard of it is Tyler Labane and Alan Tudyk confirmed a sequel was in development in 2014. 2016, the two revealed they are actively developing the project. And then at Boston Comic Con in 2017, Alan Tudyk was asked about it, and he responded that a script had been written, but was disappointing, and they weren't moving forward with that script.
Oh.
So who knows if they're still going to continue. I hope they do. I'd like to see these characters come back for another round. We've seen several other movies or TV shows that are similar in premise to this, not necessarily the exact premise, but similar in tone. We started getting like this person versus evil, that sort of thing, and with kind of the horror comedy bits, we get Reaper has a similar tone, and so I think that there's definitely a place for a sequel. I'd like to see one. What do you guys think?
For sure. I did not realize, and I guess I should have looked that up. 2010.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
12
I saw
years
this
ago.
way after that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I feel like
probably
I saw it
2015 or 16.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I saw it way earlier than that. I feel like I saw it around 2011 or 2012. So 2011, 2012, because I was still living at my first apartment when I saw it the first time. And so that would have been around that time. But yeah, I liked it. It's good stuff. So that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So it's my turn to pick. And I know what we're watching next week. We are doing the original. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Which you can find on basically Apple Podcast, HBO Max, that sort of thing. 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night, one of the original, most controversial movies ever made. This movie caused a shitstorm at the at parents activist groups in 1984. They did not want this movie coming out. They demanded it be taken down. We'll talk about it next week of all of the controversy about it. But you can find it anywhere that rents movies. Amazon Prime, Apple TV, any of that stuff. It's available there. So Silent Night, Deadly Night is next week. Guys, we have to Atkinize this movie.
Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me.
Detective, thrill me.
Who would Tom Atkins play in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil? And I know what you're going to say.
My mind immediately went sheriff. every time there's a sheriff in the movie.
It'd almost have to be in this movie because there's not many other parts.
Yeah, for sure.
So
because you couldn't replace the two main characters. Like,
no,
their
I don't
chemistry is
think.
just too good.
I don't know if I'd how good it would be to see Tom Atkins as a hillbilly. That'd be hard. He's too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely sheriff. The only other person in the movie is like he'd have
to be Chad.
Gas station, yeah.
Or gas station guy. Yeah. So the sheriff, because he has more of a bigger scenes and
Yeah.
So I'd say the sheriff. Yeah. All right. That is it for Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Anything else you guys want to add?
Comment some more horror comedy suggestions, because I kind of enjoyed having a nice funny one to watch this week, and I don't know too many good horror comedies. So
after Christmas, when the new year starts, we're gonna get into some dark shit, guys. I don't know. I mean, we might be popping in Hellraiser or something. There is a movie I watched over the weekend that we definitely will check out at some point on this podcast. I watched on Shudder, and I had a blast with it. And I was like, that one's going to be on the podcast soon.
Nice.
So, Shudder find. All right, Derek, do you have a story for us this week?
I could tell you about the time my brother ran a guy off the road in a semi.
Sure.
Lydia's eyes went like, what? Yeah, so Jay was like, man, why don't you go on a run with me? I'm sure like anyway, he's like, why don't you go on a run with me? And I was like, man, why would I want to do that? He was like, just a day run, not anything across the country. I'm like, all right, I guess I could do that. I'll go with you for like the day. And so like we drive to Kentucky and drop something off, and we're on our way back. And Jay's just, this was when he was younger, and I don't know if he's straightened up or not, but he, like, this guy in a little S10 pickup truck just made him mad. And he was like, oh, I'm bigger than you. Literally ran this dude off the road. Right to the point. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Jay. And I was like, dude, if we get pulled over, he said something like, man, if we get pulled over, I need you to tell them like this. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to lie to the cops. And he was like, come on, man, you got to do it if I get pulled over. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not doing it. And so like I 20 miles down the road, here come the cops. Pulled Jay over, and he was like, dude, you got to tell him what happened. You got to tell him like this, this, and this. I'm like, no, man, if they ask me what happened, I'm going to tell them exactly what happened. So the guy and the police officer walk up on us, and like the guy is talking, is like, man, did you do this? He's like, man, I don't know what this is Jay. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do nothing. Then the guy was like, man, this guy ran me off the road in Kentucky. We're in Indiana now. In Kentucky, and the police officer's like, whoa, 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 wait, what? He was like, he did this in Kentucky? And he's like, yeah, because we had just crossed the state line. And the guy's like, man, I can't help you. Like, I have no jurisdiction over an accident that happened in a different state. And the guy's like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, well, this is your get out of jail free card, Jay.
Wow.
You lucky bastard.
Wow.
And so that cop couldn't do anything, man. He had to let us go. I didn't even get to talk to him.
If that guy was smart, he would have taken Jay's license plate and his DOS, his
DOT.
transport number. Yep.
Yep.
And would have his DOT number and
issue
filed a complaint. Yep.
Yep.
And that way when he drove back through Kentucky, you're getting arrested for it. But yeah, that's hilarious. That's funny. Next week you should tell a story that takes place in the box factory. I think that should be something that happens next week.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's tons of those.
Jay's part of that too. So
yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. You got to tell some Jay stories from the box factory next week.
Pops up all over the place.
He never leaves.
Fairy dragon of death.
It's like a bad itch. He's a bad penny. He always turns up. I hate that saying. What does that saying mean?
Let's say he's like a hemorrhoid.
Yeah, that's more true. So that is our show this week. Be sure to comment down below, like Lydia said, with any suggestions you have with movies. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Visit us online. You can at our website, HiLaProductions.com, to get merchandise and find out what we're up to. You can visit us at Facebook, where we update, pretty regularly, almost daily. Follow us at Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us at on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies. And you can follow us each on Twitter. You can follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky. Follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. And you can follow me at Racket. Next week's going to be a Christmas episode, so we'll be wearing our Santa hats, hopefully. And then the week after that is also a Christmas episode. So 2 Christmas weeks. It's going to be a great time. So, if there's nothing else, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.